Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to explain to you guys exactly what a bridge fund is and why you need one if you have any desire to retire early. All you need is a few dollars a day to ensure you're financially independent between your early retirement age, that is the age you want to retire at, and the traditional retirement age, somewhere between 59 and a half and 65 years old. Again, with just a few dollars a day. I'm going to explain all of this, so just watch this video through to the end. So stick around. Setting up a bridge fund is something I've been planning for a while as I come closer to maxing out my traditional retirement accounts. It's critical to have a bridge fund so you can have financial security later in life and to ensure you always have a financial safety net no matter what age you start at and no matter what you want to do with your life. First of all, I'm going to explain the concept of a bridge fund, exactly how much you need to save depending on your current age and what age you plan to enter early retirement. Next, I'll explain exactly why a brokerage account is the best tool for this compared to other investment vehicles. After that, I'll demonstrate a few scenarios for early retirement using the tool I created for this video. Finally, you guys can download this free tool so you can figure out exactly how much you need to save to make all this a reality. So, a bridge fund is exactly what it sounds like. A bridge between the day you quit your job permanently and the day you begin traditional retirement, which, if you have any kind of tax-advantaged retirement vehicle, is between the age of 59 and a half and 65 years old. This is also the age when Social Security kicks in, if it's still around by then. Even if you don't plan on retiring early, it's a good idea to have a sort of long-term investment account set aside for large future purchases or expenses, say a down payment on an investment property or just a large fund that serves as a safety net. So I've already set up one of these bridge funds with a bank called Aspiration Bank. I only have $300 in it. So really, guys, I'm just starting this, and it's a good idea to set this up as soon as possible to take advantage of the power of compound interest over time. The best way to set up a bridge fund is to simply set up a brokerage account and begin investing in something simple with a proven growth track record, such as an index fund or some really basic mutual funds. This doesn't have to be complicated at all. You can just set up automatic investments and forget about it. Some good services for this, in my opinion, are the Robo-Advisors, such as Wealthfront or Betterment. Or you can use more traditional brokerages, such as Charles Schwab, Fidelity, or Vanguard. You can also set this up with your checking account bank or your 401k administrator through your work 401k. I don't recommend using any kind of savings account for a bridge fund simply because the interest rate is too low to compete with inflation and it doesn't keep up with the market at all. So sure, it might be a low volatility safe haven to put your bridge fund in a savings account. But over the course of 10, 20, 30 years, the volatility doesn't matter at that point over long periods. Quick side note, Roth IRA can also work as a bridge fund because you can withdraw the principal investment. Now what I mean by principal investment is that's the money you put in when you're investing. And you can withdraw that money because you've already paid taxes on that. So you can withdraw it tax-free and penalty-free, which is something you can't do with regular IRAs or 401ks. So a Roth IRA, if you have one of those, can kind of work as a bridge fund if you need to pull on that later. So you can start building your bridge fund right now, today, in 2020 for just a few dollars a day. Oh yes, and if you like what you're seeing here, please hit that like button at the bottom right and also consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell to ensure you're the first to know about all the latest and greatest video posts. Thank you. Generally, you will want to fund your bridge fund at about the same rate as a traditional retirement vehicle, or at least in the same ballpark. So if you've watched Graham Stephan's video, How to Be a Tax-Free Millionaire for $12 a Day, you might imagine you should also fund your bridge fund account with about $12 a day as well. So that's a good starting point. However, depending on your age and what age you plan to retire at, this number can vary drastically. For example, if I'm 30 years old, which I am, and I want to retire at 35, I'm going to have to save a lot more money and save money a lot faster than, say, my niece who is 6 years old, in order to bridge that gap between 35 and 65. So in order to help with all this decision making, I've made a tool in Excel where you can put in specific info about yourself, and it'll help you come up with some good numbers for funding your bridge fund. I will run a few scenarios through it to demonstrate what I need to put away, and then I'm going to use my niece as an example, and then maybe someone a little bit older than me who may enter early retirement at age 55. Real quick, don't forget there's a link down in the description. You can download this tool for free, play around with the numbers. So here we go. We got a little calculator here. Basically what we do is these cells are initially yellow, and you can fill them in with your information. Let me just go back here. So let's say I'm 30 years old. I want to retire at age 55, and traditional retirement starts at 65. So you can mess with these two numbers. I wouldn't mess with this number. I don't really think you want to change that too much. I mean, possibly if the government keeps moving back the traditional retirement age, you could mess with that number a little. But yeah, so I have, it calculates a difference of 25 years between my current age and early retirement age, and then it also calculates this year between early retirement and traditional retirement age. And those are our numbers that go into the rest of the calculator here. So the first thing right here is our annual expenses. So that's my current year dollar annual expense estimation. So I'm imagining that when I enter early retirement, I'm going to need $20,000 per year in today's dollars to live comfortably. And now some people might look at that and be like, "Oh man, that seems really low." However, you also have to consider at age 55, I don't plan on having a house payment. My expenses are generally pretty low overall. I'm not planning on living in a high cost of living area. So I think 20,000 is pretty reasonable, and I might have some other income sources at that point, hopefully. So I'm sticking with $20,000 right now. Below that is our inflation rate. So that's what I'm guessing inflation is going to be over the next 25 years. And these two numbers right here, 20,000 and 2% inflation, calculates our annual expenses at the start of early retirement. So we've turned that $20,000 into a future value of $32,000 a year. Below that, we have our expected investment return, 7%. This is a number you can mess with. You can actually mess with the inflation rate as well. Just experiment with that. Say maybe it's going to be 4%, and then that changes everything. Maybe you think the market's going to do really well like Dave Ramsey. Put in 12% here, and that affects the calculations down the line. So let me just keep that at 7% right now. And then below that, we have our future value of future expenses and bridge years. So that's basically taking our $32,000 and it's taking our $32,000 and giving us a future value of $32,000 over 10 years with that inflation rate of 2%. So that's basically the sum of money that we need to have starting at the first year of early retirement. And then this is where it gets interesting. We find our annual bridge fund contribution. So that's the amount of money we need to contribute to our bridge fund over the next 25 years. So starting now between our current age and our early retirement age. So $5,600 a year, $473 a month. So that ends up being about, I think that was $16 a day if I'm correct. Let's see, about $15 a day. So really just pocket change, and you can retire 10 years early, or at least for me with my scenario, and my current age. Now, let's say we want to play around with these numbers a little bit. Let's say my niece, who is 6 years old, wants to retire early. We're going to put in her current age here, and notice how it changes that number to 49. Let's also assume she can get by on $20,000 a year just to keep things consistent for this demo. We get down here. She has to save more money because early retirement is farther away, but she has a much longer time for her compound interest to grow. So she only has to save $1,500 a year if she starts now. $127 a day. That's $127 a month. That's about $4 a day. So that's pretty great. I'm going to tell her parents to get started on that now. Real quick, if you like what you're seeing, please like this video. If you don't like what you're seeing, please dislike and unsub. Actually, just kidding, don't unsub. But please, if you don't like something about the video, please tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification cowbell to get all the latest game-changing financial advice. And I'll even give you a shout out in the next video. Now let's look at my cousin. I think she's 38. So she has less time here. She only has 17 years between her current age and early retirement age. And let's keep this $20,000 the same, keep everything the same. Notice her annual expenses. This cell here is a little bit less just because she has there's less inflation happening between her current age and her early retirement age. And because of that, this future value of future expenses and bridge years also decreases a little bit. But she has less time to save, so she has to contribute a lot more. So almost $10,000 a year, $800 a month. So that's a lot more than what I would have to do. Yeah, almost double what I have to do. So yeah, you can go in here and play around with these numbers. Let's go back to 30. Let's go back to me here. Let's say I want to retire at age 40. We're going to see that these numbers change a lot. I'm going to have to save a lot more, $4,700 a month, because I only have 10 years to get all this together. So I think 55 is a comfortable age. So yeah, get in here, play with the numbers. The green cells are cells that are calculated. The blue cells are these kind of result cells. I believe everything else will turn to a yellow cell if you don't have a value in there. So those are the cells you need to fill out.
But Ian, what about capital gains taxes?
I'm glad you asked. It was kind of a last-minute decision to not include capital gains taxes in this calculator. I realized that setting up the calculation would involve a bit more than I wanted to deal with in Excel, and it also shouldn't be needed for most people. That's because with the income I'm expecting to need in early retirement, my capital gains taxes would be zero based on my tax bracket. So on Investopedia here, we have this tax rate for long-term capital gains. As you can see here, you don't get any capital gains don't happen until you're earning more than $39,000 a year. That's what this current tax schedule. I believe this was set up during the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, so thanks, Trump. So yeah, I'm planning on drawing $32,000 from that from my bridge fund every year, which is that's less than that $39,000 if I'm single, up to $78,000 if I'm married there. So I don't plan on triggering capital gains taxes with this little with my bridge fund. And I'm expecting these upper bounds on these tax brackets are actually going to move up as years go on. I think they're probably just going to keep up with inflation. That's how I'd like to think things worked. Can't say that's going to happen, but I know with this current tax rate bracket schedule, I would not trigger any capital gains taxes. So I think this is the case for 99% of people. This should remain true as long as this capital gains rate tax structure remains intact. So as you guys can see, if you're a little bit older, you might have a lot more catching up to do, or you might just have to shorten your early retirement. I've only been putting away about $50 a month right now, so it's really never too late to start. Get this started as soon as possible if you want to retire early and achieve financial independence. Just get right on it. All right, that's it, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video. Really appreciate you watching all the way to the end. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification cowbell. See you next time.